Hey, I'm Tom Holland.
And I'm Mark Wahlberg.
I mean, what can you say about Uncharted?
It's a massive
pile of garbage, departure from the source material, wasted opportunity, waste of 100 minutes.
Okay, it's not a competition, bro.
Yeah, but if it were, I'd be winning.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, I know I'm late to this, but I don't really care. Okay, so I just watched the Uncharted movie and I hated it. Who would have guessed? The guy who references the Uncharted games a lot and also loves them thought the movie was bad. It pissed on so much of what I enjoyed about the games, and it also pissed on me, literally, through the screen. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Now, I'm not going to go into insane detail when it comes to all the issues this piece of shit has, mainly because the footage isn't out yet, but also because I have a bunch of other projects I need to finish. But trust me, I'm going to get a dissection thing done about this movie as soon as possible. This movie will be discussed in far greater detail in the future. But for now, I'm just going to give some brief thoughts because I need to vent in some way, I guess. Okay, first of all, what the fuck did they do to these characters? Okay, so the first problem is obviously casting. When we first saw Tom Holland as Nate, everyone pretty much accepted that it was like a younger Nate when he first meets Sully, rather than, you know, an adaptation of the games where they already know each other. And I mean, in the movie, Nate does meet Sully for the first time, but he's still old. After the in medias res opening, we see Nate and Sam 15 years before the events of the movie took place. And even then, they still look like teenagers. So Nate's at least in his late 20s, yet he still looks nothing like Nathan Drake. They didn't even give him stubble. Plus, the opening really felt like they were ham-fisting all of the familiar Uncharted setup for both fans and new people to pick up on. Like, we see him with his brother, he has the ring, he says, oh crap, they know a bunch of shit about ancient old treasure, but like, it's just shoved in, and it's also different for no discernible reason. Like, I guess Sam stole the ring in this continuity because he gives the ring to Nate. Also, I guess in this version of the continuity, Sully discovered Sam instead of discovering Nate.
I think you're here because of your brother.
Wait, you know my brother Sam?
Another thing that seemed off was that Nate stole shit for no good reason at the beginning. Like, he steals a bracelet from this lady who he serves at a bar, and for no reason other than like money, I guess, or because he wants it. Drake doesn't really do that. He never directly steals from someone for no good reason other than financial gain. The worst that we see him do is in Uncharted 2, he breaks into a museum to dick over one of Flynn's clients, but that's a stark difference than singling someone out, making them your target, and then stealing from them purely to fill your pockets. And also in Uncharted 3, when he lifts the wallet from Sully, he doesn't do it for money. He does it because Sully has a key that will allow Nate to have Sir Francis Drake's ring. He wants to convince people that he's the descendant of Francis Drake. He's not singling out someone to steal their necklace because it's pretty and shiny and probably costs a lot. Sully, though, is even worse. In the games, he's a father figure to Nate. He's a partner still, but part of their chemistry is how they've been doing this crazy treasure hunting shit for 20 years together. In the movie, Sully's just an asshole who only cares about money. After they meet for the first time, they just constantly flip-flop between almost hating each other and being on edge.
You were just gonna leave me back there.
Somebody had to get the cross.
Hey, you know my brother Sam? What else aren't you telling me? I assume we're 50-50, right?
50-50? You get 10%, that's me being generous.
Wow.
To friends who bust each other's chops all the time.
I'm pretty sure he's just threatening to kill me.
Don't touch your ear like that. You look like an idiot.
What's with the cat?
She's just for you.
What?
Life seems super sad.
I'm not gonna keep this thing.
We better get small, or in your case, smaller.
You're only like 1 inch taller than me.
I think it's a little more than that, kid.
Also, do I even need to mention how Mark Wahlberg looks nothing like an old man? It is another reason why people thought this took place with a younger Drake, because Sully also looks younger. But nope, it just looks like they didn't care. They didn't even give him his mustache until like the post-credits scene. Although that's probably a blessing in disguise. If you've seen that image of Mark Wahlberg with a mustache. Okay, hold on, let me just look up Mark Wahlberg as Sully. What the fuck? What the fuck is this image? Why is it taken at this angle? Also, I find the scene where they meet absolutely hilarious because their dialogue is just atrocious. Their conversation is pretty much, hey, I'm Victor Sullivan, people call me Sully. I saw your steel back there, you're pretty good. I got a job and I need help. Like, this sounds like an exaggeration, but it really isn't. Their first conversation is really that fucking stupid. Also, I just want to say, when I was looking for trailers and clips to get footage for this video, they just included like stuff that wasn't in the movie. Like, the way that they seem to meet in the trailers is completely different from in the movie.
Hey, kid. I'm a little young for a bartender, aren't you?
A little old for prom, aren't you?
Like, they don't have that prom night line or whatever. It's just Sully sitting in like the corner. Also, Sully pickpockets the necklace that Nate stole and replaces it with a business card. Like, I guess you'd be able to pickpocket the bracelet, but how the fuck did you put a business card in there while you were doing it? After Nate rejects Sully's offer to go with him on like this adventure thing, he gives him a business card, and then Nate shows up at Sully's house, and then Sully mentions how he knew Sam and that he ghosted him, and then they have like a montage of them planning the heist of a cross that they need to get to find the treasure, which is being sold at an auction. And after the montage, they like know each other so much better, but like they don't at the same time. First of all, they don't have good chemistry. Second of all, it's not earned. And third of all, it constantly flip-flops. There's like a part halfway through the movie where a character tells Nate that Sully's been hiding something about his brother. Basically, when they were adventuring together, Sam was shot, and so Sully had to abandon him. And the person who shot him is like one of the bad guys of the movie. And so Nate and Sully have a fight about how Sully let Sam die. And then like right after that scene, they like split up for a few minutes. Then they get back together. And then like their dynamic is the exact fucking same. And what's stupider is that later in the movie, Nate asks the bad guy, "Did you kill my brother?"
Did you kill my brother?
And then later, the bad guy during their climactic fight says, "Say hi to your brother." But then at the end of the movie, as like a teaser for the second movie that I guess is gonna be made, it shows that Sam is alive and in some dingy ass prison. Like, what the fuck? How did the villain not know? How did any, like, what? Oh, another thing is the villains. Okay, so there's 2.5 villains. There's the guy played by Antonio Banderas that I don't remember the name of. Seems like the reference for his character was Hector Alcazar from Uncharted 4. Like, he sounds almost exactly like him.
I like you, Samuel. More importantly, I believed you. That is why you were here.
Well, he's one of a kind, solid gold altar crucifix.
But we don't really see that much character development from him, or maybe I missed a bit. I don't know. I mean, most of the scenes with him in the beginning are spoken in Spanish, so maybe I like missed a subtitle or misinterpreted something or didn't see something. I don't know. There's like a part where he kills his father, and I'm like, okay, I guess that happened. It's not really like, oh shit, or oh yeah, that makes sense. It's just, okay, that happened, I guess. But yeah, we don't really get too much development on him. And then in the third act, he just gets killed off. Like, this half-developed character is just murdered off by his henchwoman, and it's really out of nowhere. And I mean, the game did that too, I guess, but it was also stupid in the game. Also, yeah, the bad girl. Okay, so she takes over the villain's role, and she's also barely developed at all. Her and Sully have like a history. I guess she was the villain of Sam and Sully's story when they were going out and doing shit, and then she killed Sam, but like not really. But that's like about it. We don't really get much with her either. She's just the bad who wants money. She has barely any character. Like, I don't remember her name. It's fucking awful. Chloe is in this movie too, and she's also a villain for some reason. It seems like with this movie, they took a bunch of different parts from the Uncharted games and sort of mixed them together and blended them together and moved around some pieces in a vain attempt to create something new out of this property. Like, the artifact in this game is pretty much the dagger key thing from the second game, combined with the crucifix from the fourth game. The plane crash part is like the plane bit from the third game mixed in with the boat crash and deserted island of the fourth game. The villains are like if you took Hector Alcazar, Nadine, and the two bad guys from the first game and made them into two different characters. The backstory of Nate is like if you took the flashbacks of the third and fourth game and switched them around a bit. And Chloe in this game is like if you took Chloe but also mixed in a bit of Flynn from the second game. You know, the double crossing guy. Like, Chloe double crosses Nate 3 whole times in this movie and also does it to the villains. Also, Chloe tells us her backstory in this movie, and it's completely different and contradictory to her backstory in The Lost Legacy. Chloe's dad was like an asshole who like stole a treasure that Chloe found, which is not the case in The Lost Legacy. I don't understand the point of taking the source material if you're gonna change like fucking everything about it, especially everything about it that made it good in the first place. I don't think I'm kidding when I say that like the most accurate thing here in terms of adaptation is the amount of times they say shit. Honestly, I only expected them to say it like 4 times, considering this movie's rated PG-13, but they actually said it a lot, so that's something, I guess. Anyway, there was also a few small things that really pissed me off. There's like a constant little tune that plays throughout the movie. That was just made up from the movie. It's not the Uncharted theme, it's just its own theme. The soundtrack for this movie was just generic modern action movie schlock. None of the music or music styles from any of the games. I'm using music from the games in this video because the soundtrack of the movie is just diarrhea. I found a lot of the fight scenes hard to follow, especially the ones on like the boat at the end. Like those were edited really shit. I could barely tell what was happening. There's like a part where Nate is holding up Chloe, who's looking in jars full of salt, and like the jars start cracking. But instead of telling Chloe that the jar is cracking, Nate just says, "Oh, hey, Chloe, like just tell her the jar is cracking." There's this thing, it's called the English language, and it has words that allow you to describe the event of a jar cracking. There's a part in the movie where they use their cross key things to open up a secret passage in a church, and that takes them underground. And then after a while, they end up in this like rave party place, and they exit through like this vent kind of thing, and they still have to open the secret door there, but the bad guys are also there somehow, and nobody in the party seems to notice or give a shit that both a fist fight just broke out between a bunch of people, or that the wall behind this bar opened up because of these 2 people that came through the vent out of nowhere, and like the puzzle that they have to solve is still intact, and it leads them to a completely untouched for hundreds of years room. What? I mean, I don't mind the idea of like a puzzle room or a location on your treasure hunt being used and transformed by the public completely unaware that this treasure hunt was even a thing to begin with, because that could lead to some interesting conflict and problem solving. However, this movie is shit, so it didn't do the idea good. Okay, how did these people get to this room? Who was able to find this room to be able to turn it into a commercial district if Nate and Chloe needed to open up a secret passage to get here? Even if there was another way in here, which is fucking stupid anyway, because the whole point of this part is that they're exploring a secret underground tunnel that was opened up by a secret door. How did the people constructing this place to use as a commercial district not notice the secret cave thing and follow it back up to the church and realize it's like a secret treasure place? We live in a modern world where demolition exists, so I'm pretty sure if they followed that path, they would realize that there's like a secret cave entrance that leads back to the church, realize that this church has secret door mechanism stuff, and then realize that that door mechanism stuff is also shared in the room they're trying to construct like a bar and rave party room in, and then they'd realize that there's probably something behind that wall too, and then they'd destroy it, and then they would find the jars, and then they'd find the map that's in those jars, and then find the treasure probably. And if not that, they'd at least tell someone, probably their contractor or the government. The point is, none of this should be intact. By the way, shouldn't there be a bartender behind this bar? Nate just like starts acting like he is the bartender to blend in, but like, where's the actual bartender? This place has a bunch of people in it. I don't think they're all there after hours. The plane bit from the movie made less sense than it did in Uncharted 3. Nate and Sully sneak into a car that the villain has and wants on the plane for some reason. I guess because he likes his car, and that's how they end up on the plane. And they say that they were there for like 10 hours, and I'm like, okay. Would there even be enough oxygen for them to last that long? As Nate is falling out of the plane, it somehow looks less realistic from the PS3 game from 11 years ago. Also, he lands in a car partway through his fall and somehow manages to stick on, even though it's a very smooth car. Like for a minute, Tom Holland becomes Spider-Man again instead of Nathan Drake, and it's just able to stay on this car falling through the air. Also, Chloe is falling out of the plane too. The way they survive is similar to the game. He catches the crate and pulls out the parachute, but then they land in water and float in water on this crate. I don't think that would work. I'm pretty sure supply crates would sink because they're full of supplies of the stuff. But then like after they spot the shore, it just cuts to them heading to shore without the box, and you can't even see it in the distance. It's like, what the fuck? Where did it go? I realize at this point I'm kind of going scene by scene because this part just like really annoyed me. But I do want to mention one final thing. Right after this bit where they walk onto the shore, we have a cameo from Nolan North, and it's like the only time the theme song actually plays. It's supposed to be a nice nudge, I guess, to fans. Like the line is like self-referential to how he played Drake.
Fell out of a plane? Huh. Maybe something like that happened to me once.
But to me, that didn't really come off as a nice nudge and more like a please fuck off. You didn't earn this. You are worse than what you are referencing kind of deal. Now, I'm almost done with this video, but like there's one more thing I want to mention, and I thought I'd save it for the end because this happens at the end. One of the funniest things to me about this movie is that there's 2 teasers for the next movie in it. We get the reveal that Samuel's alive, and then we get some credits, and then after a few credits, we pretty much get half of a scene from the next movie. And in this scene, Mark Wahlberg has a mustache and a cigar and the green shirt and his revolver, and he hasn't had that for the whole movie. This was like the first time. And I'm just like, where the fuck have you been the whole movie? This is supposed to be Sully, right? How come you weren't Sully for the whole movie? How come in this teaser for the next movie, that's when you become the character you're supposed to be playing in this one? Also, this bit was literally in the trailer for this movie. This is almost like how The Amazing Spider-Man 2 ends with the same shot as the trailer. Like, fuck you. You don't put that in your promotional material. You know, there was parts of me that felt like I was being a bit too harsh to this movie. Like maybe I was just remembering it worse than it actually was. But then I remembered that this fan film exists.
Fellas,
And how it's so much better.
we're gonna break this open. I feel like we're always breaking things open. How about I hang on to that?
And showed so much more promise than this. And then I just go back to hating this movie. Anyway, there's a lot more wrong with this movie than what I touched on in this video. However, this is definitely a movie I want to do like a huge, big review on in the future. So when the Blu-ray comes out and I'm finished with all of my current projects that I'm currently working on, that's when I'm gonna devote my time to making like a fully fledged like dissection of this whole movie and why it's so fucking shitty. So I don't know, stay tuned for that, I guess. It'll probably be like 80 million hours. I hope this video was a nice taste test, nice sampling platter or whatever for my thoughts on this movie and how much I hate it and how much I think it's stupid and idiotic. Before I go, I just want to say I apologize for the lack of uploads this year so far. Over the new year, I've kind of wanted to take my content in a slightly different direction, and that slightly different direction consists of really long videos that are very detailed and take a lot more time to make. And so my next video, I'm still working on it, and my next video is also 3 hours. So that's why you haven't seen a new video from me in a while. I'm gonna give a more detailed update as to where my channel is going in the future at the end of my next video, the video about EXE games. That's the 3-hour one. But for now, all you really need to know is that I'm still working on that video, and it's just taking me a really long time because the video is 3 hours. May even be longer. I don't know. I'm still working on the script. I'm still working on the script. This script is taking me so long to write and redraft and all that. Anyway, it's coming. I haven't given up on YouTube. I haven't quit. It's just taking a while, but I promise it will be out soon. Anyway, that's it for me today. See you later. Why is he making that face at me? This is what your dad's phone sees when he's trying to use it.